welcome once again. For those of you who are joining us again for the Powerhouse Woman Show, I'm Monica Pierre. And for those who are joining us for the very first time, we say welcome to you. This show is all about powerhouse women, their journeys, their stories, their lessons, what they want to share with the world, what they want to share with you. And we just basically interview what I call groovy women, women who are just doing it. Some names are well known, others are not. Some are in the United States, some are in North America, and we are really a global show, and we're expanding and including women from around the globe who have a story to share, a passion to share, lessons to share. And this is so apropos on the beginning of what is this, the third of March, which is Women's History Month. So I'm so excited that you have joined us. And speaking of which, really celebrating women who have been on the show. And I said, let me go back into the archives. This is our third season. So we're relatively new, but we're going to keep going. And we've interviewed women from all over. And their stories are different, but then their stories resonate with us because their stories are so familiar. And I'm going to dust off the archives, go into the vault, and pull a couple of shows out. And we individually talk about their journeys. And then at the end, we ask some similar questions. One is about what a powerhouse woman is. So I want to begin with this powerful woman who has done so much. And she's going to talk about and answer the question, what is a powerhouse woman and what is her advice? So we're going to talk to Danielle Franklin de Teague about what it means to be a powerhouse woman.
A powerhouse woman is, to me, that's someone who is brave enough to handle their mission, but also compassionate enough to help those that they see along the way.
Wow, brave enough and compassionate enough. Thank you for that. The best advice you've ever received, and it can be someone from personal aspect, professional aspect. It can also be a woman or a man. But what did you receive? Who gave it to you, and how have you been able to use it in your life?
That is an interesting one. I'm going to go with one that kind of fits this topic because there's so many that I can choose from. But one of the things, and this is from Coach Kelly J. I follow her. And one of the things that she said recently was to unfollow anyone who doesn't make you feel like you can.
Wow. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel that you can or can't.
Can't. Anyone that makes you feel like you can't do something, because a lot of times we follow people because they're experts or this or that. But if they make you feel like it's not possible, then that's just not good energy, and you need to just remove that from your space.
That's amazing. And then your advice, Danielle, to other powerhouse women, especially at this stage, they're in the journey, sometimes the crossroads where they're going to pivot. They're going to say, you know what? This is where my passion, the opportunity lies. So I'm going to do this. It might be something new. It may be something that everybody doesn't get, but this is where I'm going. What advice would you give them?
I would really say just to focus on your why and why you want to do this, and focus on what the mission is. And it's not going to always make sense to other people, but it's not supposed to. It's yours. It'll make sense in the end, but right now just focus on what your mission and your calling is.
Wow. Focus on what you know is your mission and your calling. And so many emotions right now. In fact, let me just go and in the comments section, we do have Danielle. Hi, good morning to you, Danielle. Thank you for joining us with your workflow and your business solutions consultant. And thank you for those words. And as I looked at the background, this was your interview was about a year ago. Actually, it was February of 2021. And I was at my mom's house. And my mom, it was toward the end of her life, and some of my siblings and I were taking turns being with us. And one of the things that I know about powerhouse women is that we make it. We make do with what we have. It wasn't my usual studio. I was traveling back and forth from New Orleans to be with her. We were hoping that she would beat the odds, but she did succumb and die to kidney disease in at the end of April. But I was able to be in her home, be in my childhood home. Actually, it wasn't my childhood home. It was later on she built, my daddy and mom built that house. But as you can see, it was an old house with the dark paneling, but we make do. I do believe powerhouse women figure it out. And when we're not so concerned about how others would react or whether or not it's lights, camera, action, that we figure these things out for ourselves and we're okay with it as well. So, Danielle, thank you for reminding us what a powerhouse woman is and also the importance of our why. We also went back into the archives and found some other women who can share. And again, I think Women's History Month is about recognizing all the women in our lives, our moms, our aunts, our grandmoms, our mother in laws, the women who just guide us and admonish us when we're not really living up to what we know we can live up to, or we wallow in excuse. Those are the women, our daughters, also those of us who have great friends. And these are all women we get to celebrate. We celebrate. We always check in too. Let's see. You were so loving and beautiful throughout the journey. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, it was about 5 months. And, again, we were just hoping that it would end a little bit differently, but it didn't. And one of the things in the legacy that my mom, Janice May Savoy Pierre, gave was that when we believe in God, when we trust God, even when it's challenging, even when it hurts, even when we don't see any signs that what we have planted in the ground isn't happening, isn't taking root, it is. And I would just remember, and I didn't know I was going to go there, but I just remember the final week of our life, and people would come to visit and they would hold her hand. That is powerful. When you have lived a life where people want to come and be with you in the good times and the end times, and they want to hold your hand through it all, that's a good life. So let's get back to some of the wisdom during Women's History Month where women have shared on this show. We're now in season 3, but we had a powerful season 2 and continue to have a powerful season 3. And of course, the first season, we were just doing it. It was right in the shutdown, and people were figuring some things out. We were all online and we were doing our shows, and it was the best. And it was like, but we did it. We made do. So we're going to start off with another powerhouse woman named Danielle, a different spelling, Danielle Nicole Black, Crown Me Foundation, and why it is important, really important, to know good advice and to heed good advice and to use it in your life. So we're going to hear from Dan.
You magnetize what you believe about yourself.
Wow.
If you believe you are a powerful woman, you are more willing to move about the world without fear.
Yes,
You're
without
willing
fear.
to take risk. You're willing to take risk. And a powerhouse woman does not chase. This is not about being aggressive. This is not about making things happen. This is about developing self-love in a way that you radiate love. You see, you say, I am love. I attract love. Love finds me. Everything I want in this life, I can have because I attract it. People are drawn to me. Clients are drawn to me. Businesses are drawn to me. Investors are drawn to me. I don't have to chase it. I don't have to make it work. I just continue to perfect who I am, and it finds me.
I'm going to ask this question, and it may sound flip. Are you fearless?
Am
Do
I
you
fearless?
ever fearless?
Oh no.
No.
No. Oh
You
no,
come across fearless.
no. I definitely have a lot of fears and anxieties. Trust me, I sit awake at night and be like, oh my God, what am I doing? Some days, but you just have to wake up in the morning and just say, let's go do this. Like, we got to get it done. Like, and I told myself I didn't want to go back to a regular job. So every day I'm like, I have to make this work because it has to, because I know the life that I want and the flexibility that entrepreneurship gives me. So I just keep pushing myself to be like, all right, it's going to work because it has to.
Well, we researched you, and your motto, you've said this, is know your worth. Why has this one particularly resonated with you?
Well, what's funny is before I left my last job, I had just finished another master's degree program. And I'm thinking, I got another degree. They're about to move me up in this company, all sorts of great things. And I'm like, they only offered me like a quarter more. And I'm like,
like 25 cents. Not literally, but yeah, it's not even moving the needle, right?
We're not even moving the needle. I'm like, I just did all these great things, and I'm like, it's only worth a quarter. I was like, man. So it was really like one of those moments, like, I am worth more than this quarter. Like, you know what? I can start something for myself where I know I can, at least move around how I want to.
Complete this sentence, Carolyn. A powerhouse woman is
a woman who trusts and leans into that outlier piece of herself that defines her without apology or disclaimers.
Oh, we can talk about disclaimers another show. I mean, that's exactly what important. All right, here's the second question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received? Who gave it to you? And how have you used it in your life?
Best advice was, Carolyn, do you know what potential means? It still means you suck. And who gave that to me was Tony DeChico, who used to be the U.S. women's national soccer coach. And that was about 1996. So it was a while ago. And why it's such a good piece of advice is that if I think that I'm the best, there's no potential to grow. And I just loved it.
That is in your face. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, very good. What's your advice to other powerhouse women?
Number one, you're more powerful than you think. And don't let other people write your future. That responsibility is solely up to you.
We always like to know about advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? I'm curious as to who gave it to you and how have you used it or continue to use it in your life?
Thank you so much for that question, Monica. And so the best advice that I have received came from my dad, actually. And he would say, happiness is a choice, right? Happiness is a choice. And in fact, studies have shown, psychologists have studied this, that we would think that our circumstances and our situations make up the most impact on our happiness. But when they actually did the studies, only 10% of our circumstance, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whether it's a tragic accident that has caused disability, only 10% of that makes up our happiness, our emotions. 50% is our genetics, but the other 40% is actually how we think and how we behave, what we choose to believe and how we choose to engage in our world. So we do have that 40% control over our happiness. And so happiness is a choice. And whenever I'm faced with the opportunity to be grumpy or annoyed or irritated, I try to change my perspective. Not always easy, but I try to change my perspective to look at the positive side, the more optimistic side, the more encouraging side, and choose the happiness.
I'm going to approach this maybe a little differently. So one of the things that I believed for a very long time was that I was dumb. I believed it. And I was before I realized that thoughts were a thing and that wasn't real. And I had very important people early in my life in my 20s, particularly this friend of mine named Tom, who said, you have no idea how smart you are. You have no idea how intelligent you are. I would argue with friends in college who would say the same thing. And so now what I really appreciate is in my 40s, I see like, oh no, I'm pretty amazing. I'm pretty amazing. So I just appreciate that other people saw things in me, even if I didn't see them at the time. And I love this stage in my life where I can radically embrace that those things are true for me.
And it's so important to identify your passion and your purpose, you see, because when you do that, you can work your purpose, you can work your passion, even when you're hurting, even when you're in pain, even when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when your eyes are burning, you can't keep your eyes open, you can't sleep at night, whatever it is, you are still going to work your passion and your purpose because this is your vision. You know, this is your baby. This is what you believe is supposed to be happening in your life. So that's why it's so important, because once you reach that, you're going to feel the fire of, I have to still serve, you know, no matter what I'm feeling, I have to fulfill this mission.
Yes, no matter what you're feeling, no what you're going through, give yourself some grace. No one is saying, work yourself to the point where you just can't even think, but find out what you can tap into when you need to tap into. I really hope that what you've heard today from either Rain or Yuande or Caroline or Danielle, the two Danielles, and Mari, that you're able to grab hold of something that's going to help you. And as we go through Women's History Month, if you're in a position to do it, why don't you just send a text or an email or pick up the phone if you can and tell that woman, tell that powerhouse woman how she has impacted your life. A piece of wisdom. Sometimes people will say, "Remember when you said, Monica?" And I'm going, "I said that? Yeah, sure. It sounds great. I must have said it." Just let them know. And if it's someone who's no longer physically with you, send them a good thought. Or if it's someone throughout history, of course, maybe some of the people that you've admired throughout history, women leaders, women entrepreneurs, women who just made a difference, women who said enough is enough is enough, and I'm going to start that school. I'm going to make that school available. I'm going to be there and help women and young girls who don't have enough. Maybe you can just celebrate them in some way. Read a passage, read a quote from them. There's so many ways we can elevate and recognize women in our lives and women who are powerhouse women. Speaking of which, this is a global show. And we are connecting with our global sisters and our global sisterhood. So if there's someone you think, you know what, Monica, this person would be excellent, an excellent guest, why don't you drop me an email, Monica at thepowerhousewomanshow.com. And I would love to talk to them and see how we can put them in. And again, one of the good things that happened through this shutdown, because, it was terrible. It was terrible, and we're hopefully coming out of it. And now we're dealing with what's going on with Ukraine and some other places that we don't even know what's happening with them. We're able to do shows and interviews on a global perspective. We can get people on. They don't have to come to our studio in New Orleans. We can do this. We can absolutely do it as well. Oh, I just want to put you on. Thank you, Monica, for all you do to encourage and empower women. Thank you. Thank you so much. And what you're doing as well, Danielle. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. So send me an email, Monica at the Powerhouse Woman Show, and give me an idea of someone that you admire, someone that you've worked with. And maybe, heck, it might be you. You don't have to be shy. We don't need a nominating committee. Just deal with me directly. I am the executive producer of the show, right? And I'll make the call. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Powerhouse Woman Show. And you continue to be the powerhouse woman that you really are. We'll talk to you again live next week. Bye-bye now.